Hello.
Yeah, Chintan, we are with you, but there is another
Yeah.
screen which has suddenly come up.
Yeah. Give me a moment.
Yeah, Sari Dewi is trying to make a
Hey,
presentation.
Sari. Hello, Sari. Sari. Hello. She's the speaker, but her turn
Yeah,
is
okay.
not as yet.
All right. I think she was testing. So she's still testing.
Oh
So
my
you'll have
goodness.
to explain to her to hang
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sari. Hello. Sari. Give me a moment.
No problem. Hey, Srinivas Rao, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mani sir.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I am fine, sir.
All right. Happy learning.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Sorry for the technical glitches initially. Welcome to the TMI webinar. We are part of a TMI community. We are a group of technology management and startup innovation enthusiasts. We have formed a group in year 2016, so we are already like 4 years now. It's a group of around 200 plus professionals. We conduct these knowledge exchange sessions with various friends in the industry, and this is where we are. This is our webinar on future of drones. We have an interesting line of speakers today. We will start with Flight Lieutenant AT Kishore,
Yeah.
who is assisted by Girish Gourishankar.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After
Gauri. Yes.
Girish, yeah. After Girish, we would have a few from Advocate Khushbu Jain. Khushbu is a lawyer on from Supreme Court. She works with Supreme Court. She is also a technology enthusiast, works with various industry bodies and industry houses to frame their cybersecurity policy. Then afterwards, towards end, after getting introduced to drone and then what it is all about, what is the best practices, what are the regulatory and security aspects, then finally we have Sari Dewi, who is a head of sales from Frogs ID. Frogs is a Indonesian drone operator, and they are a disruptor in drone industry. So after this, our academic understanding and overview of security aspects, we will have a presentation from Sari Devi, who would take us through their journey and what is the real use of drone in Indonesia in these days. So this is our webinar today. I welcome all of you once again. Thank you so much for joining in. And we start with Flight Lieutenant AT Kishore and Girish Gourishankar. Thank you so much. Request everyone to kindly keep themselves on mute until they have a query. We would have a Q&A at the end of the session. Kindly keep your questions ready or put it on the chat window. And let us begin our session for the day. We have got a lot of to cover. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining in once again. Over to you, AT sir. You may share your screen and take us through your presentation.
You have my slide, no, Chintan?
Sir, it would be good if you can present
Okay.
it.
A couple of minutes.
So Kishore sir, while your screen is presenting, I will quickly share my screen, and I will share a video while Kishore sir is working on it. Very short video, and this will sort of set the tone for the meeting and as to why sort of India is sort of going very slow on development of drones in the public domain, etc. We will come to that. So let me know when you're able to see my screen.
I am also ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, over to you.
Right. Okay. Okay, you all see my slide?
Yes, Kishore sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome to this short tech talk. Thanks to the TMI. It has been a nice journey, lots of technical savvy talks I attended, and it's my turn to talk about what we can say about UAV. I earned my eligibility to speak on this thanks to my Indian Air Force background, which naturally acted as a motivation to be in this space. And currently I lead one of the subcommittees pursuing standards on the UAV from Bureau of Indian Standards. So Gauri would be taking a deep dive, and I'm asked to touch base the basics and functionally the conceptual viewpoint. I know more than 50% of our team are from telecom background. So for them, I have a very interesting comment about this product, just to keep them happy from the beginning. So UAV is a UE. I'm talking to the 5G experts here. UAV is a UE. UAV can be one 5G base station like a G Node B, or it can perform roles in between these two personalities. In simple terms, it can be a wireless base station, it can be a device, or it can perform a hybrid roles as well to start with. I mean, and it can be considered like a cell on the wheel concept, except that the wheels are not on the road but in the sky. So a UAV is like a robot, but unlike the robots you see from Boston Dynamics, these robots are flying. So they are just like a Harry Potter kind of stuff, the broomstick. So UAVs are unmanned aerial vehicles. They also have another title called remotely piloted vehicles. There is a subtle difference between these two. And also drone, that is a driverless remotely operated navigational equipment. Just give me a moment. I'll bring this out from email to make it more visible to you. All right. So Vidya Sangha Technologies is a company I work for as one of the founder engineers, and we have a few success stories within September 2009 till date. We are already working with one of the IITs, one of the confidential projects, and we are shown a lot of interest by investors. So that's a good point. So coming to our topic, basic functional foundational discussions about the drones. As of yesterday, this time, there was a nice talk between all the stakeholders in India from government side, including Ministry of Civil Aviation and all others, organized by ASSOCHAM. Their topic centered around the standards about which even our speaker, learned colleague Khushbu would touch base on the standards. I would focus on the technical aspects now. So I would go on the basics or notional, what is a drone concept, touch base on broadly on the surface level, what are the various applications, at least 6 different applications. I leave the deep dive portion to my learned colleague Girish to take you on to firefighting. And then we talk about some of the India perspectives, and we look forward to nice talk from Sari, Dewi. I'm really excited to hear someone from Indonesia because Indonesia is like India to me. I visited almost every street of Indonesia. One of the street is known as Jalan Guntur, which is one of the small places in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, now the topics I'm going to talk would be like this. To familiarize you with unmanned aerial vehicles, classify different types of them, and applications of the UAVs. So the typical applications are defense and civil, and within them we can classify in terms of their altitude and endurance and certain features. So a little bit deeper into them. So as you could see, this unmanned aerial vehicle is an aircraft without a pilot. In fact, the aviation industry started just prior to First World War, 1908. And 100 years before, there was a hot air balloon that was used between Venice and Austria. When they had a dispute, they released bombs. So that can be considered as the beginning of UAV kind of a business model. So it predates aviation by 100 years. And this is similar to the case what happened to telecom industry also. Just before Alexander Graham Bell, Morse key was invented at least 100 years back. It's most advanced digital zeros and one. For some reason which we are not aware, that has taken a back seat, and then only the copper wires and circuit switching was predominantly used until recent times. Now we have digital version of them. So the Wright brothers can be considered as the parents of the aviation industry, and also the Bernoulli principle is the guideline even for the drone industry for even vertical takeoff. As you see, this kind of rotating object, behind all these rotating things, there will be motor, and there's a body, and there's a camera here, and there's a stand. So it looks like a small kind of one which you see for marriages. This is something which is launched in the field. You see here, there's an unmanned aircraft system, which includes the unmanned aerial vehicle along with the ground control station. A ground control station can be as small as something on your hand, playing with some kind of child's toy, which you can move a few controls, and like a joystick. So basically, maneuvering of a drone will be on 3 parameters: moving forward 1 circle, forward-looking circle. It means you stretch your hand, draw one clockwise circle like this. That is one way of controlling. And then look up and draw one clockwise circle and move either side, right or left, and draw one clock. So these three particular dimensions drawing a clockwise circle, they are considered as yaw, roll, and pitch, and which determines the movement of every flying object, including aircrafts and UAVs. And so in case of manually controlled, piloted, remotely piloted in the visual space, there is something called beyond visual line of sight and visual line of sight. So line of sight and beyond line of sight in the visual sense. There will be a pilot who is trained. There is a 107 certification in America, Canada, and other parts of the world. In India, it also started. DGCA has started to pick up around 37 applicants, expression of interest from Zipline and Spice Telecom, the Spice Jet, and also one more group which has interest, Throttle Aerospace, like that. They have made kind of even this Swiggy also entered into that to take a claim on this supply chain also. So we go to that a little later. So basically UAV plus the infrastructure, that whole thing in terms of computer industry or cloud, it is something like your particular data center plus all the cloud environment is together is the ecosystem of this. So small unmanned aircraft system with which can weigh like 25 kgs. This is something like what is said as a small, but this is a big deal to make. I mean, I can hardly count 5 or 6. One is Tata Aerospace, another is Adani's. The rest of the people have made even smaller form factors than them in Indian space currently. So 1918, that was the First World War days. Kettering bug, US Army has used this kind of stuff here. The 8 is fallen. It's 1918. 1936, there is that Queen Bee, US Navy. And during the Vietnam War also, there is a Fire Bee. These are all used by US Air Force for their military applications. So the types of UAVs, okay. Okay, fine. That's fantastic. So there is advantages and disadvantages of them is discussed here. So basically types of UAVs means they can be vertical takeoff type of UAVs, or UAVs which are used for some surveillance purposes, or they can have multiple points of failures in them. So what is shown here is a Trimble ZX5, and there is one DJI Chinese origin Phantom 3 professional version is shown here. And then we have Altavian Nova F7200. So we have fixed wing aircrafts also. They look like aircraft rather than rotating wings, rotary wings like helicopter models. And the problem of them is advantage is they have a long battery life, but they need some kind of a launcher device, something like a transport load vehicle of military kind. I was a launcher officer in battalion commander for defense. So you may need a launcher vehicle for it, and also better for large area. So this kind of aircraft lookalikes may be requiring large area, need open space for takeoff and landing. So these are some of their plus points and disadvantages. So basically from 1849, if you would like to look from the role of the last 200 years, like nearly less than 180 years, let you say. So 1849, explosive balloons were used by Austrians in 1849, and that could be considered as the beginning of the drones modus operandi. And Kettering bugs of 1930s, that is typically the peak of Second World War timing. And we have RC models 1990s. The RC typically means that somebody has a remote control like thing and using radio controllers, they are operating them. And advancement of military drones happened during 2000. America started deploying them in 2005. Amazon announced delivery of the drones as way back as 2013. So almost 7 years back they were preparing, and explosion of commercial drones based solutions happened from 2015 onwards. So drones used for filming and videography started 10 years back. We now talk in our, like, including Republic channel, that leaders comment that, oh, I know this particular thing is taken by a drone with the intention of fabricating the news. So there is already a involvement of drones in the journalism, as you see day to day. So now this is a way that India has these 6 segments on which already drones have been used. I start clockwise direction from A with agriculture, next insurance industry, media entertainment, mining, infrastructure, and energy and utilities. So I'll focus on agriculture first. Compilation of the plant count, calculation of fair crop loss percentage, crop supervision, and crop maintenance. So recently, Ministry of Civil Aviation, just about 10 days back, May 22nd, they approved use of the drones for spraying pesticides only for agricultural purposes, and that coincided with the onslaught of 8,000 times the normal flow of the locusts into India. And as I speak today, there are about a dozen drones and 5 different companies approved. They asked bidding, and Ministry of Civil Aviation was generous enough to give per 1 hour certain amount, which is 3 times the lowest L1, to encourage the drone companies to flourish. And that is the state of the art use case of agricultural drones, which is very promising. In fact, majority of the civil applications in India, apart from Survey of India, promise to convert all the maps using the drones, because there is a 10% of the cost otherwise by using road-based surveys. And they intend to make the entire Indian maps based on drone mapping. And that process is also on as we speak. Next, insurance. Collect the crop yield. Insurance in agriculture, this is crop yield, and assess the damage for insurance purposes. If there is any like locust has damaged, and if your agriculture field is insured, how to assess and then compensate. Then catch the discrepancies and fraudulent claims. So by taking a survey, you know that no, agriculture is going good. There were only a few places where it requires compensation. So just this can act like a balancing force of truth, finding the truth. And risk adjusted product pricing also, because by survey, what will be the impact of this ongoing problem and what will be the cost incurred. Therefore, your pricing model, because it's a World Trade Organization topic, food security is a global topic, no longer one country's issue. So we need to do that arbitration. So insurance is a high tech now. Media and entertainment, I already mentioned about media using drones, aerial documentary and photography and cinematography. Mining, thermal imaging, terrain mapping, and change detection. Terrain contours are changing. It means somebody already detonated a piece of mountain. Maybe is it official or not? And how much has been the mining happening? And are they disclosing their profits to government or not? This kind of things can be investigated with drones. Infrastructure and equipment inspection also can be done, so that your product sustainability and your productivity of mining operations can be improvised. I now move to infrastructure, industrial applications. In fact, I have seen a use case of manufacturing, factory.io and manufacturing intelligence. They intend to use drones inside a shop floor. It will keep on rotating across the 4 corners of the shop floor and minutely keep observing and reporting and analyzing and generating more intelligence. And that's what is also envisioned. And there's a 3D video mapping, land audit, town planning. So smart cities, we have 100 smart cities globally. There are 500 smart cities, site management via capturing, viewing, and analyzing aerial imagery and survey data. So you can, in US, before selling someone's house, they will take a drone image and advertise that this is my place. Well, mostly some of the places in US, you have a lavish landscape around your home, and they want to advertise using drones. So then coming to energy, that is electric power and utilities like water, remediation and site monitoring, inspection of underwater intake pipe, surveying grades map for setting and transmission lines. Agriculture company, I mentioned that. Okay, now this applications of UAV land surveying, 2D mapping and terrain images are here. A geographic information system that is based on GPS and knowledge about Google Maps and giving you assessment of anything. Something? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, please continue.
Okay, right. So now I move on to the applications of UAV for agriculture. For crop monitoring, we have diseases and inspections and weed cropping progress, etc. And then we have a chemical application like fertilizer applications using pesticides and drainage issues and replanting decisions in distribution of soil moisture. So land management. So now we have forest. In fact, one of the topics, forest, will be dealt with by Girish. In fact, as you know, America, even Amazon rainforests and Australia report year on year lot of forest fires. In India, recently in Andhra Pradesh, there is a oil the oil well is on fire for more than a month, and those could have been in the early stage could have been prevented by use of drones to assess what is the real case. Coastal India, we can use anywhere in the world. Anything soil erosion on the coast can be monitored through the drones, because you see this side nobody can go and see, but drone can tell you how much of the land has been eroded by the forces of water. I mean, you can assess them. Wildlife, this mostly in most of the African, the Sahara and all, wildlife monitoring can be used by drones. Infrastructure inspection, you have projects. If this has any crack or any requirement of maintenance, or any, is it good enough for heavy load of trucks? So you can use it for inspection for cracks or etc. And you can also, before launching a mega project, just like 3D printing, run one drone and see what is the real site in real life, and then talk about it, then estimation by paperwork. So you can do a feasibility survey before investing billions of dollars and anything, and that will give you a very realistic picture of the scenario. And mining already discussed. You can calculate what is the extent of the finished product of the mining, what is the volume of the mine that has been pulled by the whole activity. And here is a disaster mapping. Something happened like earthquake or a bomb, and you can send a drone to estimate what is the extent of damage. Hazard, there is some volcanic eruption or some maybe bomb is kept to explode that piece of mountain. You are just capturing live some of the details. And you can use a drone to deliver medical supply. It can be also for blood and some critical organs which have been tested. So volcanoes and glaciers and floods, all these things can also be monitored using UAVs. Construction management. How much is the progress of ongoing real estate construction? It looks like Dubai and a very busy area. How much is the work going on? You can monitor nicely with UAV. Marketing also, as I said, you have a nice, beautiful building. You want to market it, run a drone session, and it will nicely give you view of from all the sides, along with the ambience of the nature and the backdrop of. And then here, I have seen lots of LinkedIn programs that teach you how to create a environment which you want to appease the market. Actual backdrop may not be like this, but to attract the market, you can do all using photography techniques. So along with the UAV technologies, people are taught several techniques of photography and all, which is a related technology. So deliverable from a UAV is, if you observe UAV on the lot of new overlapping images, you can finally construct a ortho mosaic, a photo map that has been geometrically corrected from uniform scale and 2D measurements in terms of distance, area, GIS integration. So you need to use some tools to, because a UAV might be introducing an error in observation because it is on the move. Therefore, it is collecting data while on the move. You have to correct for the motion and then the moving landscape and apex of the area that you are observing based on what is the speed of your UAV, at what height it is taking the pictures. You have to reconstruct using tools to make this entire, you see some canal here, land mass here, a water body here, and a mountain like thing here. So you can reconstruct everything. So deliverables from a UAV is elevation data, which is having what kind of height it can get you, digital surface modeling, which can help even in wireless network deployments and other use cases. So deliverable from UAV is a 3D modeling. You see the big mass, it's a very height of the UAV should be definitely above kilometers. So composed of points in 3D space, useful for 3D measurements and volumetric calculations. So now, in fact, there is air taxi. In fact, she is going to do, so I will skip it and you can use it offline. It will talk about 10 top air taxis in the world. I don't want to spend time going through those examples. And it turns out that EHAN is one of the top in the world. It's already available in YouTube. And these points are of our interest as we are in India. There is something called digital sky platforms. And this is an example of a Lockheed Martin makes engines for the Boeing and Airbus, and this they also make beautiful stealth technologies. And this is one of the drones they made, RQ-170. It should be one of the high endurance kind of UAVs, like more than hours to get a like 20 plus number of hours. And this is in fact the beast amongst all the UAVs in the world, called Global Hawk. If you can imagine any frequency of any wireless technology, that won't be a foreign element for this object. It absorbs all technologies, satellite, terrestrial, and everything that we know, and into itself. And it's a ocean of knowledge in itself, and it's a perfect example of mankind's aviation, not just the flying aircrafts, but this Global Hawk. And on the other extreme, we have seen just now a big, gigantic Global Hawk. And this is on the other extreme. There is one company by name SKEYE. They claim that they have made world's most miniature version of a drone. In fact, as you could see, the person holding in on top of one finger and also between fingers. So in fact, they look like an insect like them. In fact, it has been also used for, in one example where there's lots of mosquitoes. This was used to drive away mosquitoes, because we know already certain kind of frequency, if you emit, mosquitoes will be driven away. And so this is very interesting, this miniature version. And so this is the, as I said, the big version of it. You see the real picture of it, people standing there, the one wingspan goes, this big one, Global Hawk, that is the one. And this is by far the world's most, it would have a sustenance of more than a day in the sky. It can lift like tons of weight, and it can be on a high altitude, and it can come to medium altitude also, but this can perform more better jobs than any flying aircraft. So in fact, we are lucky to have expression of interest from a college in Andhra Pradesh. They're working with us, and also they have government support. They have a what we know as a drone corporation of Andhra Pradesh. They are associating with this college to do some more work, and it's a work in progress, and we'll report back to you some more things on these areas. And so this is very interesting to tell you that why should we on our Saturday evening spend time talking about drone. So for a while, forget drone. Tomorrow there is going to be an eclipse, and today think like this. by remotest stretch of imagination of mankind, we will never ever be able to make any flying machine which can match with the speed of our planet Earth where we are. So by kind of inertia of experience, you don't experience, I and you won't experience how fast the planet Earth is moving. It's moving at 30 kilometers per second. Not just the Earth, but everything beyond Earth, the sun and all the stars, they are on the move. Therefore, to be on the motion or to be moving is the nature of the whole cosmos. So that gives us kind of motivation to work in this industry. So there are plethora of them. One of them is firefighting one, about which you will have a deep dive very soon. And this is something, being traditionally a telecom person, I worked in Lucent Bell Labs, Alcatel Lucent, for more than a decade. And this attracts me because it connects the fiber optics on the one hand and satellite technology on the other, with the terrestrial wireless 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G ecosystem, and there is that UEs that are there. So as I mentioned in the beginning, that a UAV can be a UE, and this is where it is, and supported by ground-based Earth stations like G-Node Bs, and supporting this from all sides. That there is a satellite connection, and there is a fiber optics, and there is also radio connection. So this way we will get a kind of an ecosystem supported from terrestrial, satellite, and ground-based resources. And this is why I took it, is because as Government of India announced the use case of UAV for mapping, aerial mapping, it requires a sturdier rotor than the regular ones that we are used for nano, which are used for for the marriages when they take pictures. That is not as sturdy as this, because it has to map the ground, move around. So this is the difference. So this kind of a drone. So here is a little commentary on the whole aviation when we look back. So Wright brothers a century ago made discovery, but after 100 years, what is the result? So now we are in 2020. A ton of issues have cropped up with CO2 emission. And many times when I purchased, I went abroad 35 times in 15 different nations, last 29 years of my corporate life. And there, sometimes I purchased a ticket to offset my footprint, carbon footprint. I had to buy a little extra to say that I am a law-abiding citizen of the world. So we cause a lot of damage to nature by aviation. And so the air traffic fuel. And so second, 2 world wars we have seen, and they have used these aircrafts quite a bit, especially if you look at River Manche, which is called as in Lannion. There is one English channel, they call it. There are, if you can go underneath the bed, you will find German and British planes, all debris and in that ocean. So 2 world wars, and now we are in the grips of COVID-19, and the spread of this thing, what we experienced is from one particular city to whole world, and that's how even India got into from London. The flights which initially went from Wuhan, passengers traveled back from London to India. That is a historical truth we have. So the third point is a couple of pilots. One is Bernard and Christian. They went around the world proving that we don't need air traffic fuel. Battery of solar is enough. And they had a kind of a backup also, solar power and also battery. And so in case of any problem, they had even ATF carried a little bit. But this was a proof of concept that we can survive aircrafts without air traffic fuel. That chlorofluorocarbon generating things and the burning the fossil fuels. So UAVs become a long way driven by $127 billion market as per a recent estimate by market surveys. And this is, I want to be a devil's advocate, thanks to Keysight's enlightenment given to us about what bad things can happen through UAVs. There was a case in UK has 2 famous, London city has 2 airports. One is Heathrow, another is Gatwick. Near to them both, there were incidents when the UAVs were spotted violating the norm of not come close to 5 miles of an airfield. That's the norm of any global rule of any UAV should not be spotted near there, but they were spotted. And there were cases when drugs were delivered by UAV to prisoners. And there was very interesting thing, like there was a game going on here, like the Olympics like symbol is there, but it was not an Olympics event, but it was a playground meant for Olympics. And they were playing, you see suddenly a disc like a UFO with lots of lights, and those things could have been avoided to give better clean sheet for the UAV industry. So what all bad things can happen is terror networks, weapons, espionage, prisons, smuggling, and protest and shutdown of infrastructure also can happen through the UAVs. These are all the negative things. Now looking at the market and estimates, these were made in 2017. The CAGR was projected to be 12%. Later on, reports have come by early 2019. That figure has been increased to 24 point some percent. So the growth rate has been increased. Prediction of a military drone market around 13 billion to currently around that itself can be standalone like $20 billion market, military itself. And fixed wing military drone 5%, firefighting 5%, Asia Pacific is 15%, and Europe is 10%. Like this, these are the military drone market from global market insights. This is very interesting. Way back before we even think about COVID-19, medical drones have been already there, and their market was a sizable amount of nearly $500 million. They thought like between 2018 to 25, they estimated 400 million global statistics, and the US itself was catering to 30% of it. And what they were using it was for vaccination programs and also blood bank sector to supply blood of a certain category, and also transferring of the blood and EMS, emergency medical services market. This is very interesting. And here it is, the CAGR percentage has been increased to 25%. Now this is the Amazon Prime Air. They are delivering, as from 2013, they have been working on it, and they already started delivering goods in US, and they will spread to other parts of the world also. As I said, it has crossed $100 billion. So mining, telecom, insurance, media, security, transport, agriculture, and infrastructure. And this is going to be, this was a report 2015 till going towards the future. So this is estimation. And this is coming back to the interaction of the UAV, and what the most of us are also experts in 5G. So UAVs market with the millimeter wave cellular communication has been discussed. So you can have device-to-device communication supported by the UAV with a beam that is focused on these two devices, another beam focused on these two, and thereby enhance the device-to-device speed, and of course supported by the ground-based towers, and also backup of satellite to increase the reliability of them. And there is a festival in India about Drone Federation. In fact, I requested the Drone Federation of India to join us, and in future they will be part of our TMI. I'll speak to Chintan sir. And so DFI has also organized a festival known as Drone Festival of India by the Drone Federation of India, and it happened in January. And in February in Lucknow, there was a similar event. And as I mentioned, there's so many companies interested in Zipline, Tata Advanced System, and Swiggy. They all have been receiving certification from the DGCA on how to pilot a vehicle beyond a visual line of sight. And in fact, those who are interested in the drone industry, they are categorized as a government authorization for relief using drones, Garud. So you are a COVID-19 warrior. So you are in an industry which is fighting the COVID-19 overall. So this is something that going to happen 12th September, which was supposed to be a physical event, but it will be virtual event this year. And the chairman of the World UAV Federation, Jinkai Yang, worlduav.eu, and so they have in Athens this happens. So they claim that around 200 lives have been saved by drones when this report was made, maybe 2019. So the last year means 2018, that was the report. And so commercial drones, so they have 7,20,000 commercial drones that are flying. Small drones used by 2020 is a 42 lakh, 42 lakhs, 4.2 million drones used by 2020. And you can get, the job sites that use drones. So this is very interesting. So job, that doesn't mean employment. The drones which are used on these particular sites where the drones are made to move around these sites. That is the meaning of job sites. So now I would talk about UAV services. So basically, Vidyasangha wants to be a UAV services and product company. We want to be in agriculture and healthcare, want to work in 5G, 6G, and autonomous aerial vehicles. We want to collaborate with each one of you who have interest in this domain. We want to have some partnerships and to actually do import substitution and help Indian ecosystem to come up, including battling these kind of COVID-19 touch me not scenarios. So this is what we want to be 10 years from now. We want to be leaders along with all of you to help in India be a UAV leader of the world. And there is already discussion yesterday about sky ports and the drone ports and UAV traffic management. We have done a lot of headway into some modeling, and we are writing white papers, submitting and patenting also. So UAV manufacturing, maintenance, training, security, these are the areas where I am spearheading in the subcommittee along with likes of Drone Federation of India and other leaders. So export of UAV for commercial and defense sectors is also one of our ambitions in 10 years from now. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Chintan and the team. I look forward to interacting with you more on these areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, AT sir, for a great presentation. Definitely, users are still trying to get the information and understand it, and we are so excited to learn more. I would now request Girish to share his part of the presentation, and then we move next to Khushbu. Girish, are you ready? Girish?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I'm just sharing my screen. Give me a second for it to pop up. Let me know once it pops up.
Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. We are part of tech community here in Bangalore. So we are part of 5 people who have come up with a drone-based fire detection and automatic response system via deep learning. So we are 5 people. One is Makaran, Dr. Sharat Nagendra Chandran, myself, Girish, Ramakant, and Shashidhar. And we will take any questions as we go. So let's say you want to buy a drone. So what are the factors? I just want to run you through a basics of a drone and what all things you should look for if you want to buy a drone for your own personal use, or if you want to have it for business. The possibilities are unlimited for a drone. It's the sort of use case which you can think of, and the government regulations, which I think Khushbu is going to cover next, which are going to be the determinants of how the business is going to be successful. So the key factor to buy a drone will always be a price. As Indians, we are very, very value conscious. However, drone is a thing where I will explain the next factors, and we'll go over the factors. So the payload is like how much weight it can carry, how much a drone can carry for how much amount of time, for what distance. The weight it can carry, that is called a payload. And we have different categories of drone categories. For a common man like you and me who don't want to go apply for a license, etc., the nano category, which is less than or equal to 250 grams, is what is going to make sense. All others, we will need a license, and basically we will need some to and get a pilot, etc. Nano drone is the easiest way to go. Warranty. So the Chinese company called DJI is the world leader here. So there is a Parrot, there's a DJI, and Tianghu. So there are a lot of companies, one from Taiwan. But it's like both India and China were at the same level at 2014, 6 years back, when in Bombay there was an incident that some pizza company decided to deliver a pizza, and after that hell broke loose and India's restrictions tightened a lot. So DJI is like, till then I think India and China were almost neck to neck. Now we see that the DJI, Parrot, DJI, Predator, what Kishore sir talked about, they are all world leaders. They are having fantastic products. Killer products is what they are having. So these standard companies, even though the price would be 2x or 3x more, they will give you warranty and peace of mind. So how long can you expect your drone to last? So we will come to that. Camera versus FPV. So there are some drones which are having only a camera or a zoom camera, but you can't see them on your smartphone app, or you can't see it on the monitor controller. You can't see it. You will just have to have a visual line of sight, and you have to control the drone. The first person view or FPV basically gives you the whole thing on your mobile smart app or on the controller. You are able to see where the drone is going. It's more responsive. What is the flip side? The battery is going to be really drain it out in case of a FPV. The FPV. So for those of you from a telecom background here, basically whatever commands you send to the drone are basically TCP based. They'll be all TCP based. Whatever information is getting from the drone to the ground station or a monitor, that is going to be over UDP for all. I think Kishore said that a lot of telecom guys over here. So just introducing a bit of TCP and UDP over there. So the battery typically in drones is all lithium polymer. It's not NIMH. Though India is working on internal combustion engine drone, basically everything is LiPo. What are the advantages of lithium polymer? It's very lightweight. The discharge rate is very high. It's not as slow as a typical NIMH battery. It's very, very high. On the flip side, it catches fire very easily. You have to store it very, very safely. So you have to be very careful about the LiPo battery. The motor can be brushless or brush. At the house, you may have a mixer, you may have a grinder, you may have a washing machine, mixie, a TV, or whatever has moving parts, fan. Everything is usually having brush motors. So again, brush motors, they will wear out very fast. Brushless, there is no contact between the coil and the magnet, so it will last longer. The price will also be correspondingly higher. The gimbal is for those people who want to take stunning photographs. That is the place on which the camera is mounted and how it stabilizes the camera. So gimbal is very, very important for camera stabilization. So number of years is typically more than 5 years is what you can look for with a branded drone. Unbranded drone, we never know. It can come for 2 years, 3 years or more. So that's just up to your luck. If the drone crashes, basically the life cycle reduces. Why does it do so? Because everything is sort of put together, and once there are cracks, etc., the whole electronics gets jarred. It reduces the life cycle. If you are moving from, you are in a very hot climate, the PCB will expand. So you have to have an optimum level for the one. So in general, high cost is a high quality one. Good care, always take care of the drone. Okay. So let's look at the use case, what we had presented, and sort of it was very, very successful. So there are a lot of forest fires which are happening in all over India. There are lots of fires. And India has lots of forests which are very remote and interior. So the IFS or the Indian Forest Service cannot go there and basically do manual patrolling, etc. For example, during summer seasons, people don't want to travel too much in the jungles. Basically, detection using drones becomes very easy. The question is, what we have done is we have written a software and we are going to put in the drone. What the drone is going to do is it basically detects that there's a fire on the ground and automatically sends an alert to the person on the ground, and it pops up in the Google map saying this is the Google map, and it basically pops up saying here is what are the coordinates of the fire. That is what we are looking at in the context of wildfire detection. Okay, so Australia, France, US are countries which have lots and lots of forest fires. They are working on using helicopters but not drones, and I think this is something new what is getting done in India. So current measures is like, for example, you have the MODIS instruments on this Terra and Aqua class of satellites. Basically, it gives you a coverage all over the Earth 4 times a day. But the problem is that
Yeah, we have a question from Debraj.
Yeah.
So Debraj, can you ask a question, please? Deb, are you there? Deb? Okay, he has put his question in the...
Yeah, Chintan, thanks.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I just want to understand what is the alternative against you are talking about China make DJI. So if you can just enlighten us on that, maybe with your product or maybe your some other solution, what is Indian point of view from the manufacturing side? Because we have evaluated DJI a lot. Entire product line we have evaluated drone product line because they are discussing with us, but because of this China make, we are currently keep on hold that discussion.
Okay, so the SAT, that's I think very awesome question. So thing is, every drone manufacturer sources their components from China. See, unlike other components, for example, pharma, where it's distributed, electronics also it is distributed. Drone industry is an industry where all components are coming only from China. That is a sad truth. I think we have having, I think Sara also next, Sara Dewi next, she can also tell where she is sourcing from. As of today, for example, when the COVID-19 had stopped, if you are part of the drone community, there was people who had ordered drones were looking at 6-month delays from DJI and all. Even American manufacturers were giving 6-month delays. The reason for 6-month delays are all their PCBs. PCBs are things which comes only from either Hong Kong, Taiwan, or China. There is no other alternative. I don't know about Indonesia. I think Sara Devi can tell. Major components, etc. PCB is one of the main control units for that one. Apart from the sensors or actuators, So this is something which was not there, not available. If so, tomorrow if China says we are not going to supply components to, let's say, Parrot, Parrot is going to have a tough time till they figure out something on their own. So, and getting quality PCBs is very difficult because PCB, if it is getting exposed to the air, it oxidizes. It's made of copper and silver. It oxidizes very fast. So it has to come in a sealed unit. So there are nitty-gritties like that. So it is, as of today, it is very difficult. There are a lot of Indian companies working on that. But again, some portion of that supply chain will always come from China. It's too deeply embedded. It'll be thing. So Kishore sir can add something on this one.
Yeah, but what you have talked about the PCB, if it is a multi-layer kind of a PCB, I think there is an alternative option is available in India, in Gujarat, ceramic, as well as in Taiwan. And what using the PCB is basically mixture of the high-end product is on the Taiwan PCB, because we have checked their PCB, and wherever the cost-effective part, which is a high volume sale, they are using the China make PCB, which is a very low volume, and the quality is not the A+ grade PCB kind of scenario.
Correct. So what you said is absolutely correct. For example, even BEL in Bangalore makes ceramic PCBs, right? So there are a lot of people who are doing it. The problem is, let's say as a third party, you and me want to have a use case. There is something called MOQ which will come in. It's a minimum order quantity,
yeah.
Right? So
minimum viable project. Yeah, correct. Yes.
Correct. So let us say you want to go and order for 100 PCBs. For example, we were trying to last week order for, not in terms of PCBs, we were trying to order some optics, some connectors, etc. And we wanted around 4 items. And thing is, people laughed at us because, nobody's going to give you 4 items. It's going to be multiples of 10K or multiples of 5,000 like that. So there the cost comes. So I fully agree. There are people, there are available, and we should be very practical. Even though I said that a drone can last for 7 years or 8 years, the problem is with the smartphone. So every drone guy will give you an app which goes with the smartphone. Problem is the Android OS or the Apple OS will go on changing. And the way the manufacturers tackle this problem is the end of life. They don't want to support. You will have a warranty card for 3 years or 5 years or 1 year. What they will do is they will stop supporting the app. The warranty is only for the hardware and the PCB or the brushless motor or the contact or the foldable wing, whichever it is. They will stop supporting the app on the OS. So when the app on the OS gets the end of life, you will have all sort of problems. You will say it's not worth about it. And typically, you will have to go on replacing the batteries. That is, you have to be it's not like a seamless operation. If you are having a LiPo battery, every charge and discharge cycle, the efficiency of the battery goes down. You should always remember this. It happens also in NIMH batteries. It is not as pronounced. With every charge, the capacity of the battery goes down. Also, what happens is, many people, when they are first, get bored of drone flying, they allow the voltage. There is a minimum voltage level. It's like in a car, if you put petrol, right? After some time, you will get an indicator in the car which says that the petrol is low. But even then, you will have some petrol or diesel left. So you can use that petrol, diesel to drive till the nearest petrol pump, and you can put your fuel. In drone, when you're piloting a drone, you will get that warning which says that your battery is low. People ignore it. They wait for the battery to go down. Once the lithium and LiPo battery goes to 0, it is very, very difficult. You will have to replace it.
So can it be possible, like we are discussing, we can discuss offline also, because if we can create a India kind of a scenario, because everybody is talking about Atmanirbhar or policies. So if we can create a environment where like you are absolutely correct on the MOQ part, and that's why the China is or the Taiwan is much ahead than the India, because we talk about only that maybe the 100, 200 or 1K kind of a MOQ. So if you can consolidate, you can port some kind of scenario, and we can give that PCB manufacturer, like you talk about the Bangalore part, or there's a Gujarat ceramic, So if we can make it a consolidated kind of scenario and with some kind of a projection, I think we can solve that problem. That's my view.
Yes,
Very true. So I fully agree with you, sir. So the problem is not that it cannot be solved. I think Kishore sir I will allow Kishore sir to basically this thing. I think there are a lot of Indian companies also which are working on this. There are 10 companies. Kishore sir, would you like to add on this?
Yeah, in fact, Devraj, as you said, we have taken a lot of time on this question. We'll work with you offline. The problem, if you can help us, in fact, we are supposed to give what is the India standard view in terms of manufacturing drones, testing, making them secure, and testing them for airworthiness, etc. We welcome your participation.
So in fact,
Thank you.
we also have our international partners available. So we can also reach out to them for any kind of knowledge sharing and collaboration. So thank you so much. Do we have any other questions for AT sir and Girish's part of the presentation?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
This is Madhukan Patel, ex-ISRO scientist engineer.
Hello, sir.
Now, when we are talking of the PCB, is not just a mechanical device. PCB in drone is made like ICs and the programming inside and logic inside, which is known as PCBA. And what we are talking is PCBA from China. So just making a multi-layer PCB or aluminum PCB is not enough. We have to put a lot of life into it, which is algorithm, which is controlling the whole movement and the feedback loop and a lot of other things. So that is one of the time-consuming tasks. We need to have a good forum and a good set of people to really address it. It's a very difficult, long time. So someday India can be independent with using the good scientific knowledge and all those things. But just making merely PCB as a board is not the PCB. PCB means it is having a lot of life inside. And putting life inside is a brain. And we need to put the brain together to really make the control system. We call ECU. It has to be engine control unit, not just a bare PCB. So that's what clarification I wanted. And like I am in the field of sensor technology and maybe in missile and all those things I have worked. So I believe we need to make a good forum to really address this. It is a massive work. But once we do it, it will be like a very, very interesting and effective thing. Thank you all.
I will take only 1 minute to respond back to your question. That was a valid point. But now previously, it was like we used to have it like you can run any hardware and any OS on any hardware if you have the proper driver. Now we have something called a standardized Linux systems which we can port onto any drone. So that will take the sort of a hardware abstraction. It's like a hardware abstraction layer. And it tries to take care of that. I think we can discuss later also on this. Chintan sir, over.
Yeah, sure. So yes, definitely, Mr. Patel, you have a valid point, and the active participation in this webinar and our TMI community indeed encourages me to set up a special interest group for these kind of technologies like drone, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality, etc. So yes, I look forward for your active participation in the TMI community. I invite you to join our community and let's collaborate and take it further. Thank you so much for joining, sir. Let's move on to next question. Does anyone have any other query?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, Alexander from Frogs, actually. It was an interesting topics and also presentation, very detailed. It was very interesting, to be honest. And yeah, we do have from Indonesia. Nice to hear that someone recognized Jalan Guntur, actually. Thank you very much, sir. But yes, we do have the same situation, actually, that depending on China and any other, I mean, basically from, what do you call it, from Germany. But we are now trying to source also from Europe, and also from Taiwan, any other places. But I believe that India could do such a good manufacturer for either for flight control, electronic system, avionics, or maybe also for the e-propulsions like rotors and so on. So then it might be interesting that we can collaborate in somehow to create a mutual product, probably. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Now let us move on to Advocate Khushbu. Khushbu Jain. She is a lawyer with Supreme Court. She practices with different cases involving technology and cyber security areas. Khushbu, are you there? Khushbu, you'd have to unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening. Good to have you. Welcome to the
Good
webinar
evening.
and
Yes.
kindly share your views. Over to you.
I think a very elaborative discussion has already been gone with regard to the technical aspect of drone and usage of drone and which all areas it can be a boon and what led to the forming of the policy. I'll not take much time on that, but just on the part that how exactly the existence came. Initially, if you talk about the history, the very first time drone was used was for very specific purpose as to, as an object. It was used as an object to drop bomb in the enemy territory, and it was easy to do that. This was how it started. Now the technology evolved further when it comes to drone, and I think the areas already discussed as to recreation, as to medical, as to medical aspect, recreation. Then we talk about your agriculture aspect, even when it comes to your industrial aspect, as to your infrastructure, railways. I mean, talk about the industry, and yes, drone can be an integral part of technology into it. So yes, with that it moved, and if you look at the data, I'll just put in, which is I think to 2020 February or somewhere around February data, that the market share worth of it's almost $100 billion globally, whereas drone industry is concerned. And if you look at the demarcation as of now, 30% is a non-military part. So that's a good number. Still, I would not hope. I would want it to be a vice versa, whereas technology and commercial aspect is concerned. But then at the same time, if we look in the way the pace, it started growing, I think entire the rapid evolvement created a lot of issues with all the government, not just India, but almost all the nations trying to curb with, because with the technology, a lot of was being seen. I think the first one in India, I think which Girish was talking that, when one of the pizzeria in Bombay-based local pizza guy, they started they delivered the drone. Everybody was super excited and happy that, yeah, I mean, I'm also excited that I should have something delivered at the doorstep as to pizza coming by a drone. With that, I think there was a strict ban which came because they really did not know how to control it at that time. So DGCA put up, there was a notification that is drone policy 1.0 is what we call it, that came into existence. Which actually had a blanket ban over things, and they said, okay, when it comes to hobby or a recreational flyers, for that in the airspace there are certain regulations they came up with, and then to go ahead with that part. I'll deal with all the level of regulation and what exactly is permitted today. Post that came like the 2.0. 2.0 was specifically, it emphasizes regulations for enhancing the operations part that is, flying beyond the visual sight, which was been there. That was to bring in way for cargo delivery, for autonomous operations, such as, without active human intervention. So these were the two. Now the latest, I think in January 31st, we came up with another notification by the Civil Ministry of Civil Aviation, asking that it's a one-time opportunity for all the drone owners to register, whosoever have it, to have a registration, voluntary registration over one of the online platform called as Digital Sky platform. Now, and in order, if you do not go for registration, if the owners fails to do registration, they would invite some penal actions as per the guidelines. Now, this even applied to UAVs, which we say that this was applicable to toys, this was applicable to prototypes, all the models you talk about, remote controlled aircraft, autonomous, and RPAS is what we call it, another one. So that actually covered all the prototype that everybody has to register, and it's a voluntary type to register. Then another one came up, I think June 8th, 2020 was the latest one to, that you need to be enlisted, and they obviously increase the time frame for that, and that all these toys, all these prototype, all the models have to be listed. There's a need, it's a requirement to list it, and it's compulsory over the platform, and you need to have acknowledgement number, you need to have drone acknowledgement number and ownership acknowledgement number in order to fly. Now, if I deal with specifically that what regulations were there that came into existence, you can have a look into a specific part. Let's say that let's categorize drones into one with the import drone and one with the domestically manufactured drone. So when I talk about import of a drone, it is allowed, but then there are certain requirements one has to follow. That they have to obtain an ETA. Equipment type approval from the coordination team from the Department of Communications, telecommunications team, WPC team. They need to have that. Apart from that, they need to have importers are required to have clearance from DGCA also. Then only after obtaining obtaining a license from DGCA or clearance from DGCA is when you go to your Director General of Foreign Trade, and then you need to process and obtain a unique identification number, that is UIN is what we talk about. Then at the same time, after that, you're necessary that you get a UAOP, which is necessary to fly or operate in India. After all these things are done, is when permission is there. But then when we talk about nano category, I think category was already been defined in the first part of the talk, but I'll again come on the category. But when we talk about nano category, they are exempted with the DGCA or DGFT compliance, or import clearances, which I was talking about. Now, if we talk about domestically manufactured drones, obviously no requirement with DGFT or DGCA clearances, but at the same time, they need to have approval, ETA approval from WPC for operating in delicensed frequency bands. In addition to UIN and UAOP, you need to have would also need to be taken in order to fly or operate in local areas. Now, the local drone manufacturers also need to procure an industrial license from Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion for manufacturing of drones in India. Apart from that, you have a lot of areas which are demarcated as a no-fly zone area or green corridors, which we talk about. Now, what are the general rules that which we talk about? That like if I talk about the category, okay, drones except the nano category must be registered with UIN. Is what's a general rule of flying in India. A permit is required for a commercial drone operations. Not needed, I think, with the nano category, which has to fly up to or below 50 feet. For micro category, which has to be flown below the 200 feet. Then direct visual line of sight by drone pilots were mandatory. Then drones cannot be flown more than 400 feet vertically without permissions. And obviously, when I talk about no-fly zone, there are categories of no-fly zone areas which are specifically demarcated as to, let's give some examples as to Vijay Chowk or certain kilometer areas near the airports or the military establishments, your oil refinery, or all your critical structures, infrastructures. So, and apart from that, there has been a very specific areas as to green, what you call green corridors or dedicated green zones which are being demarcated, that for that no permit, no fly. So NP, NF, if you don't have a permit, you cannot fly at all at these areas. Now, even somebody who has already had a permit, if I talk about the latest, which is the June regulation, June 8th regulation, even if somebody has a permit, it's compulsory for people to apply for a fresh permit now. Now, at the same time, if I go on the part that what exactly would I cover when it comes to what exactly, like for example, let's say if we pick up, so there has been a latest draft that has come in place, which is under observation, and they invited a lot of comments or feedbacks from the industry people. We went on to an extent that I think 2 or 3 food deliveries were being allowed to allow permission to test the delivery part. Apart from that, I think Uttarakhand was the one who had a dedicated place for checking that vaccines or certain things to be delivered at a relevant time. This was after, I think, almost major portion of African states have this in place. As to, I'll give an example of Rwanda, a country like Rwanda, they have a mechanism as a drone delivery in place when it comes to vaccines. Specifically, when we see these kind of things have a role to play as to temperature, time, reaching to a remotest area in specific time frame with whatever temperature it has to be maintained into, and drone plays a very important role in that, and that was being taken care very beautifully by African states, especially if I talk about Rwanda. Apart from that, if you talk about India here, there is a green corridor which is being established to transfer organs between the hospital, and this is done by Chennai, and to be one of the few cities who took this initiative, this unique initiative. And this green corridor is to ensure smooth and free transfer of human organs from one hospital to the transplant surgery part. So now, if I name it, this is Tamil Nadu Organ Transplant Program, which was started in 2008. And since then, the green corridor has played a crucial part in, heart transplantation in major hospitals in Chennai. Looking at the traffic police and local authorities and the kind of, time it takes, this has been, has played as a very active role in getting this thing executed. Apart from this, they are planning that they should have more such kind of green corridors to come in place. Uttarakhand was one of it. I think somewhere in 2019 they tested successfully with regard to delivery of a blood sample or a vaccine. Now, looking at laws, yes, we have, I think all the nations have similar laws. Dubai has completely no-fly zone without permission. Australia has certain different categories as to, the categories which we have as to nano, micro, or such kind of categories. So category-wise, yes, almost all the nations have some categories in place, and they have demarcated areas where you can fly, where you can't fly, where you have to take permissions. Now, the second question comes is if there is any grievance with regard to, when it comes to operation of drones, you do face. There have been a lot of instances where people would be, privacy is one part of it, where people might play some mischief, or people might be, get into the surveillance part, which is not a legal surveillance part. So where do you place your complaint? So, there are specific dedicated, when I talk about Digital Sky platform, they have specifically portion where you can go on and have your complaint being registered over there. You can go to the local authority for the same, that certain certain grievance you have with regard to usage, or with regard to any kind of drone kind of a complaint. At the same time, when such complaints or any such things happen, when you want to fly, or let's say, when we talk about recreation purpose, I think that's the query everyone has, that when we have to fly, let's say recreation for the photography thing or something else. So where do you go? Or, so for the certain categories, you may go to the local police station and take a specific permission that I'm trying for these many, this is the area, and for these many hours, I'm gonna be out there. So that's one beautiful thing that, you can go and just take a local permission about it. Apart from this, I think the latest one has been, let's wait for the new one to come in place, which is the one which is pending. Which is, I think all of us being in the industry initial, when we're talking about technical part, when we talk about import, when we talk about manufacturing part, when you talk about, I think I was hearing the part with regard to, inbuilt, what technology, you need to have a connection with your smartphone. So how it should be, or, it complies with it or not. All these things are very challenging thing. And I think with the latest new draft policy, which is in place, which is still waiting for, you do have an option to go and apply for your, or to submit your opinions into it. I would say that I think this team should be the first one to apply over there with regard to, if any kind of suggestions we have, technical part and non-technical part at the same time. Now, if I look into the latest one, I think it's these drafts will combine two concepts. It's for both the categories, as to for the recreation part and for the commercial aspect at the same time, for the manufacturing part of it. I think that should be about it. We don't have much. These are the two circulars which came, and the third circular is as less as half a page talking about that it's compulsory for everybody to register. So legal part, yes, we are restricted to just this much. This did impact, I think the first circular which came in 2018 impacted our industry at a very, very larger pace that, you know, all our, if I look at, you know, ability, you know, which we had as a startup was completely downgraded by that. So yes, this sudden ban created problems for the industry, and you know, we came up with you know, that 2018 ban created a lot of, and government did realize that that was one of the flaw. So they did come up in 2.0 with regard to, you know, the other aspect, and I think the latest one would cater to almost all of it. Over to you, Chintan. If any questions, that would be better too.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Definitely, you have enlightened us with the regulatory and security aspects. We welcome questions from participants. Anyone would like to go ahead? Any questions? Okay, thank you so much. Now we move on to our international partners. Sari, are you there? Thanks. Thanks, Khushbu. Thanks
Thank
for
you so much.
interesting insight. We now move on to Sari. Sari, are you there? Sari, Alex. Alex, Sari. Hello. Sari, are you there? Yeah, you guys will have to unmute yourself and start presenting. AT sir, yeah, I guess now Sari will have to start presenting.
Right.
Yeah. AT sir, you need to stop presenting, please. Stop screen sharing. Yeah, great. Sari, are you there? It's your turn. Alex? Alex?
So, hi, Chintan.
Yeah. Who's this?
This is Vasudev Chintan from Piatrica Biosystems.
Yeah, Vasudev.
So, while Alex and Sari are taking a while,
yeah,
may I take this opportunity to ask a quick question from Kishore Garu, please?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Kishore Garu. My name is Vasudev Acharya. We are a precision ag company based out of Cambridge in UK and India. So, a couple of areas we are dealing with on instrumentation and drones for spraying and all. But from what I gather, I think there is a bit of a lack of clarity in terms of these regulations, especially when it comes to spraying. The question is, can you direct us to the right place where we can get some very quick responses and answers to a couple of our tech questions on that, please? We have been in touch with the DGCA and we have written to them, but don't seem to get a quick response back from them. Definitely not more directed, who can actually let us know more on how to proceed with the requirements. Would you know of a contact that can actually help us? Kishore Garu, I think you're on mute.
AT sir, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Right. So we will do that, and nice to bring up this question. We can take your questions and direct you to the people in DGCA as well as other standards bodies to address your answers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vasudev.
Thanks, Vasudev. Sari, are you there? What's going on? Sari, are you able to hear me? Please go ahead, start presenting your deck. Alex, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
If you can just call Sari and then help her get the message. It seems she
Yes.
is busy on some other call.
I'm trying to call here.
Yeah, please.
Okay. If not,
Oh iya, yang kita kirim ke Rofi itu ada orang spesial yang suka bikin tempe goreng.
Sari, are you there? It's your turn now. If not, I can do it for also. It's no problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sari is saying she's there. She's ready. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Alex, go ahead. Let's start in the interest of time. It seems she's on a phone continuously.
I think she finished. Yeah.
She has a problem with the presentation, or I can do it. I mean, it's no problem.
Yeah, go ahead. Start sharing your screen and then just get going.
Perfect. Let me open now. Present now. At the window. Oh. Sorry. Yeah. Can you see my presentation?
It's yet to come.
Yes.
Yes, we are now getting your presentation.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I'm trying just to thank you very much for having this opportunity to present our project. Actually, as you well know, that we are a startup company. We are 3 years actually. We are basically started in the end of 2017. So during this pandemic, we need to tweak a bit our roadmap, as most of the startups also. But we have to also to thank God that actually it accelerate our process. So let me introduce you. Frog actually is founded early 2018. Actually is 16 October 2017, and we are actually in the later state startups. This year we finished most of our prototypes. Initially, we start with actually with a very simple project in the one of the startup competition. Then our founders provoked one of the students to build a passenger's drone. So starting from that, we have the name of Frogs. Just to give you a perspective that Indonesia is an archipelago, you know, so it's a drone that can hop around basically. But you know, to get the approval or certified for this type of air taxi or passenger, as you mentioned before, it's not that what do you call it, easier. I mean, if you compare with the regulation for the aircraft. You still following me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Alex, and I think even Sari has come up now. She's presenting. Just see that.
So we are able to hear you, but we are viewing the slides from Sari.
Oh,
so
okay. So I'll just
that's a royal confusion.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Sari, let her unmute. Sari, unmute, please. Yeah.
Sari, please allow Alex to present so that at least we can move on. Or you start presenting right here, right away.
Okay, go ahead. I'm just.
Oh.
So it means it looks like he's just coming back to the presentation.
I don't know. We are listening to your talk, and then Sari is sharing her screen. Okay, you start sharing this screen, your slide, so that her screen would stop automatically. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please share your screen. Sorry for this inconvenience. Alex, are you sharing? Alex? Alex, are you there?
Sorry, I cannot share my screen. What's the problem actually? I cannot share my screen.
Now you should be able to share it. Can you just call Sari or using
I
your
tried to call,
phone?
but it's in actually is in the phone because we are in two different city actually at this moment. I think you can unmute her actually. See, because she's still unmute.
No, I haven't
So
muted her.
I think she's still mute, so you can unmute her.
No, I haven't muted. Let me call her.
Chintan, but can't you stop her presentation?
Yes, please.
No, that's what I have been trying, but I'm not able to. Okay, I have just removed her from this meeting. Alex, you start. Let her join again. Meanwhile, you start sharing your screen and presentation. Alex?
Just the moment, I just have my presentation now because, okay, I'll continue. Maybe you can now,
please.
okay. So basically, because of the pandemic, we need to, change some of our roadmap in our program in the drones. So actually, that's why, I mean, as you well know, that it's not easy to get what they call it, certified for the DGCA. Even though we are actually invited by them after our first flight in March, actually. I just give you a brief about all our product lines, and then we will come out with the challenges in air taxi, actually. So then this is actually our most saleable product. As you can see, we have alternative for DJI. This is actually our bread and butter product. We have come out with the 10, 15, and 20 liters. Initially, we are doing it for agriculture. Now we are also doing for disinfectant for COVID initiative. There are several applications that you can use with this type of drones, as monitoring the crowded area with thermal camera. You can also, in Italy, you can use it to announce notification of prevention of COVID-19. And also the last is a disinfectant area for a small containment area, actually. The third type is, as you were mentioned by the professor before, is actually the logistic cargo drones. This is actually very interesting. We come out with the 25 payloads cargo drones. We are doing some final tests actually by the end of this month. And there's a lot of inquiry already coming in because, as you well know, some of the problem of what they call it, our fishermen, also our farmers, is to transport their final crops or final crops, and also for their fish to the processing plant. So this we are going to use it. Hello, are you with me?
Yeah, we are with you. Request Mr. Viranki to kindly mute yourself.
Yeah. So I'll just continue. With this cargo drone, we do some tests with the emergency medical delivery, like for syringe, also with the blood, similar to the zip lines. And also we supply the APD, hazmats, and all this equipment or outfit for the COVID medical task force. And several others also for the we call it sembako in Indonesia, but it's actually food supplies and mask for the people. And last but not least, actually we have been using this product for agriculture, actually for mapping, but we are doing now with the VTOL product, which is vertical take-off landing type of product, which usually we use like a catapult, but we are now having the new type of a product for the surveillance. It's very interesting because then we have like 13 million hectare of land that is still not mapped by the government. So we work together with the Ministry of Agraria actually. So alternatively for the COVID, we are doing it for still monitoring the industrial complex, industrial zones, for monitoring all the people, temperatures, people who are moving around in the complex, and also for the lockdown areas. This is actually the summary of our products. As you will see all the characteristics. So we this year we complete all the prototypes, and we are now doing the mass product for the multi-purpose quad rotor for spraying and how do you say, for the mapping also. And we are testing our last test for the surveillance and cargo. While for passengers, there is actually we have already meeting with the DGCA. We are actually endorsed by the Air Force as our advisory board. But of course, it's still not regulated yet. But the DGCA actually would like to open and to be supported to us actually as local drones manufacturers, as because there are so many foreign drones would like to come into our airspace actually. We can discuss this later. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for your patience, and sorry to have a little bit technical problems in the beginning. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, please.
Okay, Sari has a presentation, so
yeah.
Yes, Sari, you have 10 minutes. Please go ahead. We need to wrap up by 7.
Unmute, yeah.
Sari, please unmute yourself.
I think she has a problem with the communication. If I'm.
Yeah, I guess she's on some other call, holding and then talking to someone. We are not able to hear you. Hello, Sari, are you able to hear us?
I'm not able to contact her also, even. Strange.
I tried dialing her a couple of times, but she's not picking up.
Okay.
Chintan, she is on
Okay,
call. It's clearly evident.
Let's leave it for some other
think
time. We now will have another session on drones as well. Alex, do you have her presentation with you? So maybe you can present on her behalf.
Yes, but now she's there. I mean, how I cannot. Actually, it's this is our what do you call it, the normal presentation. While I have the COVID-19 also presentation, so it's just similar to the one I present before.
Okay.
So.
Fine. I mean, I would wish that we would have your session some other time. Now you would also
no problem.
Please feel free to join our community, and then we exchange knowledge, and then we hold such sessions every month.
Yeah.
So at one of our other session, we would have Sari presenting it. It seems this is not the right time.
Yeah.
So
it looks like some problem with the connections.
Right. So let's
Yeah,
So,
because actually our factory is in the Jogja. I think one of your colleague has been to Indonesia.
Yeah,
So,
Yogyakarta.
yes, Yogyakarta, sir. So you
Yeah,
know very
I was
well.
in Surabaya,
Okay.
Semarang, Jakarta, Semarang. I mean, a lot of
Yes.
Sulawesi and so many places.
Right. I actually have a friend in Gujarat also. He's just coming back. Actually, he's a professor in the one of the I don't remember now but he's the expert for the ADB, Asian Development Bank. So he's also coming into our workshop in Jogja to see one of our startup actually.
That's
so
interesting.
It's interesting. Yes, please. I mean, if any
So
questions, discussion, please.
Yes, sure. Let us open the floor for participants to share their questions, queries. Kindly share your questions, queries with the with speakers. There is asking about company profile. So, Alex, do you have any video of your company profile? If you can just play it, that would
I can show you one. Okay, from the CNN. Just a moment.
Yeah.
We have been covered by CNN actually. Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, please play so that at least
Okay,
can have a look at it.
I can share it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, just a moment. It's not so. Where are you based actually, sir? In Delhi now?
Mumbai.
Oh, Mumbai. Okay. Yeah, probably you must have a better connection than us here.
Yeah.
Okay. How if I share it to you and you can just
no problem, I'll share it with participants offline.
Okay, I'll share it to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Frogs team, for informative presentation. And let us now open the floor for questions for a couple of minutes. Any questions from Arya, Abhinav, Anshul, Biren?
Yeah, one question I see, one question I read is from Nitesh Baliga. How did the concept of drones evolve in India? So there is one drone called Rustum 2, which is completely made by a professor in IISc. And there are 15 variants of them, that medium altitude, long endurance version. And it has been undergoing revolutionary changes. There were some experimental trials done in in a place where ISRO also would come up there as a human space settlement research center. And so apart from that, there are some Heron and other drones in India. We also import drones from Israel and other countries. So Make in India drones are being made by few companies. That is, one is Marut Drones, that is in Hyderabad, and Skycraft, that is in Hubli, that is near to Mumbai. Apart from Tata Advanced Systems and Adani's and Idea Forge, who have supplied drones in the beginning to border security force, as Chintan also mentioned in his conversations with us. That is answer to your question, Nitesh Baliga.
Okay, great. Next question is from Biren Parikh. What is the status of commercial use of drones in India?
Commercial use case of drones in India, if you need to have a drone which is above certain weight, above the nano, you need to apply for registration, and you should get, as mentioned also by Khushbu, you need to have a manufacturer ID and also drone ID, and you should have a DGCA acknowledgement number for your mission. Initially, you should start doing with your nearest police station and apply for a permission. And there is a recent permission given for the use case of drones for the locust. So time to time, government comes out with rules for use of commercial implementation of drones.
Yeah, it is, sir. It would be a good time to share what you guys are doing to fight locust using drones. If you can just spend.
Okay, the locusts have been found to come to India during mid-April, and unlike any other year, this year they are 8,000 times more than the normal in their population count. And currently they are camping in Rajasthan, and there are several districts. And then there is a prediction that they would come to places like Maharashtra, nearby like Nagpur and Madhya Pradesh, and even Gujarat. And by 22nd, that is 2 days from now, this is expected to have more of those locusts arriving into India from Africa, from western borders of India. And it's likely that these locusts would stay in India for about 2 to 3 years. So studies are going on, and there is a IEEE research finding of 2009. It indicates that drones can be used to address the problem of locusts if you use it with some kind of laser pointers, but we need to evolve that kind of drones to make it human friendly and safe. And so it's a work in progress, and maybe in a couple of years it would come up.
That's indeed interesting. I mean, we are using technology to fight the menace of locust, and we look forward for encouraging results, and that would actually help our crop and farmers. So thank you so much, AT sir.
Thank you.
Now we come to conclusion of this webinar. Just a last round of questions. If anyone would like to unmute themselves and
I read one question that popped up stating that HAL had a message that this is a no drone. Yes, definitely HAL testing airport is where, NPNT means no permission, then there is no takeoff. If you are not already in the books of the government, that if your identification friend or foe is a standard used in military. So similarly, if you are registered a priori, then government knows your intent. If there is no a priori permission, then there is no permission, then comma, no takeoff. That is the answer. And then that addresses the question of HAL being initially the domestic airport in Hyderabad, in Bangalore. Currently, it is used for testing of aircrafts and other things for defense. Therefore, the drones cannot move there, and unless you take a permission to use. There are other airfields like Jakor Aerodrome, where the drone testing can happen, or inside university campuses like IISc Bangalore. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah. Who's this?
Yes, Shahid this side. Actually, is there any permission required before fly every time by the commercial drone?
Definitely, yes. In fact, anytime your drone carries a self mass of around a few grams, less than a kilogram, you require. Actually, nano drones are till now exempted, but as very clearly brought out by Khushbu, that even nano drones are toy drones. You first should tell the government for their books of entry record that these drones exist. So leave alone commercial, even a toy drone needs to be notified to government, because there are cases where even a small drone can be, with a bad intent, can be misused by criminal networks. So that is the point why everything needs to be known to government.
Okay. What is the weight or differentiate about the nano and the higher kg?
The smallest drone is like a 250 gram, and payload can be another 250 gram. But then once you move on to 300 gram, etc., of the self weight, and the payload is another 300 gram, you enter into the realm of what is called a micro drone. And there are categories like below 2 kilos, and then 25 kilos, and even beyond that, there are different categories. And so if you are using minimum, you should have a payload, then definitely it will come into a micro drone and above, or small drone. So they need to have permissions. You should have your drone ID number, manufacturer ID number, and then every mission related acknowledgement number must be with you before you undertake any.
Okay, what is the higher capacity of the weight can drone can carry? The commercial excluding drone
usually
capacity?
there is a thumb rule. Any drone which can sustain for more than 1 hour in the sky, irrespective of its load, it is classified according to certain laws. It is a military grade, and there are drones like a high altitude, long endurance drones which can sustain for 35 hours, and they can lift more than tons of weight. But they are all military grade drones.
Okay, okay. And what about the average drone weight itself, about the machine which can be fly?
Yeah, the self weight of a drone of nano is around 250 grams lightweight, and a micro would be like less than a 1 kilogram weight, and then it will have a payload. So under 2 kilo is another category, and beyond that is a small UAV category. There is one advanced aerospace design systems company which works with ISRO. They made a small UAV kind of a drone which has a 2 hours battery life, and with two more extra batteries by sitting by the side. And very
So
interesting
standby.
point, Shahid Raja, is if a drone has 10-minute flight, somewhere middle of its journey, it will decide to come back to home because it doesn't want to crash anywhere. It will always be intelligent in its journey to make sure that it will return back to home before the battery exhausts.
It will be auto programming to return
Right.
back to home, or
Yes.
we
Yeah.
have to
Yes.
put in programming.
Yes. The programs, that is what is also mentioned by ISRO, sir, that they are highly intelligent. They are not just PCBs. Lots of code gets into the FPGAs and S6 of the drones. They are intelligent motherboards.
Okay, okay. And one more question: what is the future market in India? I mean, in which criteria it can be implemented, and how it can be benefit to the humans and the
Right.
industries?
So one possibility is that government would ease the restriction for the agricultural drones to help in cases like as initially what they are trying is not to use them on real field. For example, locust, they're trying it in the desert, the forest nearby to the fields, and then when the locusts are resting. So
Yeah,
I think that
it's
kind of a drones will be allowed initially.
yeah, it is
And
sir.
later
Allow me
on,
to
other versions of agriculture drones and all will come up.
yeah, it is sir. Allow me to take this question.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Shahid, apart from agriculture use cases, as mentioned by ET sir, there is a huge requirement to spray pesticide in the fields because right now humans are spraying the pesticides, and that is where they also get impacted, and then that's a danger area. So that is where many companies are planning to bring in drones to spray pesticides on the crops. So that is one use case. Other use cases would be to deliver, emergency medicine. So in rural areas, as and when there is a heart attack to someone, or then you need those medicines which are required for, giving a temporary relief to the heart patient. These medicines can be delivered using drone. So that is something which is for I would say use cases for that. In industrial use cases to examine chimneys, so that is where drones are being used. Our Konkan Railway is using drones to examine the health of the tracks, railway tracks, before the trains pass. Entertainment agencies are using drone to create new kind of videos. Drone races are being, it's a exciting sports for millennials. So these are various use cases which are there, and definitely would like to have one dedicated presentation on various use cases. So this was a kind of introduction and familiarization of drone, and next session we would be planning would be around use cases. So we will have a 2 hour session, and then it will cover almost 50 plus use cases of drones.
One last clarification. I think in India we have more than 10 lakhs telecom towers, and the telecom towers need to be on a operation supports. They needed the PCB spares. It's a component failures happening across the countries, and from their warehouse, it need to be moved to the respective site location. and from there at site technician need to be replaced that faulty component with the healthy one. So is it possible to I mean mapped in that industry for a good business case in India?
Yeah, let me just Chintan sir. That's why you need to have the existing helipads, and drone ports and sky ports are evolving. There is some concept of digital sky, and there will be UAV transport management, another layer compared to regular ATC, which will happen at 30,000 feet for regular aircrafts. This will happen near to the ground, and that is evolving. Digital sky concept is evolving, and standardization is happening.
Hello. Okay.
In the beginning, you would see that the
next question, please.
Swiggy-like companies will start delivering their food packets in the beginning by less than 360 days from now in India.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir. Let's move to next question.
Yes, good evening. I would like to ask one question.
One more clarification. Is there any of the country using any of the industry supports? It is can be explored by anyone if you are aware, other than the India.
Correct. That is what the whole presentation is about. $127 billion industry. We mentioned all the applications, including the one in Indonesia, as we have seen the frogs. So there are many. EHAN in China. Whole world is using them, and so America uses them for postal service and regular supply chain. It's already being used.
Great.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. We'll ask one by one offline if any query, right? Thank you very much.
Okay, Shahid.
Hello. I would like to ask one question. Drones are normally in the sky, so they can get access to sunrays more than the ground. So why not use solar cells or solar panels as source of power in the drones?
Sure. I mean, that is what I mentioned. There is a solar-powered plane, a two-seater, run by two pilots, that proves that drones can be supported by the solar power. But restrictions are places where solar power can be a problem. But in many terrains like India, we can use the solar power. And compared to wind, solar efficiencies of photovoltaics is less. That is one area which they need to solve. Until then, the batteries and research of lithium polymers is on. Yes.
In fact, Facebook has got such a drone which converts solar power to electricity, and it can fly for hours together. So I'll try to get that video shared in our TMI community.
And to add to what Chintan sir said, if you want high endurance of drone, you can have a tethered drone, which is like powered from the ground with a cable. So you can have unlimited amount of time the drone should be flying, and helping in vision of the Facebook and Google for their internet services in places like Indonesia, Philippines, etc.
One more question, sir. There is a concept of wireless charging that is coming up in terms of mobile phones. Can we use something similar in case of drones?
So right now the technology is not so mature that you can charge an object which is flying around 500 to 1,000 meters away. So right now there is no technology as such in next 3 years time.
As Kishore sir mentioned, digital sky, using those technology.
No, digital sky is just a map. It is not a technology. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question,
Which is
please.
the platform.
Yes,
Next question, please. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. It seems Vaibhav is trying to.
Yeah, hi, sir.
Hi, Vaibhav. Go ahead.
That was actually great session. So I was just asking, maybe the last question. This digital sky as a platform and the IoT use when it comes to drone. So I'm sure if drone ecosystem digital sky is being made or is being conceptualized, how is that like with respect to telecom, what is the use case and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, in fact, as the previous question also was around maintaining the telecom towers, and also we can add that to the power and electrical installations to check their health. These are the known use cases, and work has to happen. It would be by 2023. We can see some kind of real deployments of that kind in India itself.
No, so I was like, my question was not around that how telecom will be benefited or will use drones to solve their problems. My question was more around using telecom providers as in making of this digital sky and the IoT. So IoT platform, IoT ecosystem
Okay,
can
so
connect.
yeah, for example, Reliance is now about to launch their smart meters, and they are testing this kind of things. And then they also have a division focused on the drones. I know at least from Dr. Dilip, IEEE, and so yes, telecom companies are also interested in the drones.
Mitra, are you there? Mitra?
Yes, I'm there. Yes, Chintan.
Hey, hi. Mitra, thanks for attending the session. And on behalf of all TMI friends, I would request if you can extend vote of thanks to all the participants as well as our speakers and international partners.
Chintan, one last question. Is it okay if I speak?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Sorry, Chintan, this is Ramesh here, and thanks for giving me opportunity to join this exciting, the topic about drones. One question, like we in case of fire, fire kind of thing. For example, there's a fire in the building, and can we have drones? Just wanted to understand how much temperature it can sustain, so that in case of these kind of scenarios, you can extend that drone to see whether any survivor is there or any people are stuck over there.
Okay, sure. So I'll take this question because it involves more of a business case scenario than a technical scenario.
I think Girish spoke also on the fire case.
Sir, please allow me. So drones do not go near to the fire. All they do is they are at a certain safe distance and then they spray the water.
Okay.
Okay.
Not only spray the water, but capture the people, any video, whether
No. So there is no such use cases wherein I mean humans are being saved using drones. So there are no such use cases until now.
Identify that humans are there stuck, and that respective fire brigade people can go there and pick up those.
I think infrared thermal imaging is one application. You have a point that can be implemented. Infrared thermal imaging.
To identify human movements and all.
Yes,
so yes, it can be done. It can be done. Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
But as of now, I mean, at least these drones are being used by connecting water hose to spray the water at a higher pace and at certain height. I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Over to you, Mitra. Mitra, if you can just extend vote of thanks on behalf of TMI community.
Yes, sure. Thanks, Chintan. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much. I really like the presentation as well. I mean, not just from the overall community aspect as well, but even at a personal level, I really loved the webinar. It was an excellent webinar, and in terms of the presentations, all the speakers that we had, all the presentations we had, were really nice. In fact, it was good that I was about to send a feedback as well on the Google Docs link which Chintan has shared. I was about to write that it's good I didn't miss this webinar, or else it would have been a lot of loss in terms of information and knowledge which is sharing. So it is really nice to have these webinars, and I believe we would probably continue these kind of webinars more in the future with more and more members joining in. More members sharing their knowledge as well. So thanks again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mitra. And now we formally open the floor for all the participants to share feedback. What was their experience at the webinar, and is there any specific topic they would like to, like us to organize a webinar on? So everyone can share, take 15-20 seconds and then share your feedback, please. Go ahead. Yes, Mr. Patel. Okay, it seems he's not around. Okay.
Madhukant.
Yeah. Madhukant ji.
Yes, so it was wonderful experience, and I believe India needs a good forum to really work on this and take advantage of global possibility of India lead the electronics and control system for drone. So I think we have good potential and good opportunities. So people like me who are like from ISRO and from other institutions, they are very eagerly wanted to participate and contribute to this big mission and very important critical for a country like India. And we have different terrains and different calamities and it's keep on happening. So I think the drone can solve a lot of problem. And I am with you, so you can always involve me in any kind of activity you feel like. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, who would like to go next?
Yeah, Rajendra here. Sorry for I joined very late. Actually, I had internet issues. Thank you very much. Actually, I like the session so much, and it's a very nice drone system, and that's a happening thing. This kind of topics like picking up for future would be really interesting to do. Thank you very much, and very well organized.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajendra.
Thank you, sir.
We have Jalaj with us. Jalaj, would you like to share your views? Sachin, please unmute yourself and share your views. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar. We look forward to engage with you.
Right? Sorry.
Thank you very much. It's a wonderful session. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sumit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Will we have the recording of this, Kishore, sir?
Sorry?
Sir? Will we have the recording of this? Actually, I missed in the earlier part because of this internet issues.
Yeah, we would share the recording.
Also, the presentation will be good for us also if you can share the presentations with us.
Yeah, definitely. I would share it. Kindly fill up the feedback form.
Also the chat window with a lot of information there in the chat window.
Yeah, so it would be available along with the recording, so you'll be able to view it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Please fill up the feedback form so that I'll be able to send the presentation.
Yeah, done.
Thanks.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
this is the first time I'm joining this session. So how often do you have this session? Which is actually a wonderful session.
At least once a month. Next week we have a similar kind of session. How to improve your productivity. So there are ways how leaders work on multiple things and then still they are keeping cool, and what are these techniques and how you can also enhance your productivity, and what are the skills, what are the I would say tricks. So we have an expert and he would be sharing how do you enhance your productivity.
I would like to get invite for that.
Definitely. So please be part of the TMI community. We would keep you posted on all the events, and then you can also engage with us in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending this meeting. Thanks, Sari. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Thanks, Girish.
Thank you, Sari.
Bye. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Please continue all the invitation to us in future also, right, sir? Mr. Chintan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sachin.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sajji, Saras event hati. I enjoyed. I enjoyed very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you,
in.
sir.
I would add you in our group so that it
खुशी होगी अगर कहीं ना कहीं मैं इसमें योगदान दे पाऊँ.
Yes,
sir. We keep meeting ISRO leaders. For example, we met the Bhuvan team, that is one Divakar sir. We met and we inquired about their support. They said sometimes they can dedicate a satellite view on an area of our interest and give us the database.
It's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
बढ़िया बहुत अच्छा लगा and so much like no I thank you so much and there's like-minded people who can really contribute to the nation. I think this is one of the biggest things where we can contribute for a good purpose.
Yes, sir. As long as leaders like Chintan sir are there, we are all connected, sir.
Yes, very true, very true. Yes, wonderful.
Thanks everyone. I am logging off.
So nice. How you?
Thank you, Chintan sir.
Bye bye.